Hey guys, I'm back this week wanting to redo my Whatever Happened to Baby Jane video because I just wasn't happy with how last week's turned out. I'm still going to leave that one up, but I really want to do justice to this groundbreaking psychological thriller and disturbing movie from 1962. I did read that there was a remake of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane in 1991, but I read that it wasn't very good and it's also not streaming on anything, so I figured I will just stick with the classic. Anyway, the book and the movie start off the same. Jane Hudson is the big deal on stage, back when taking in a show meant stage or nothing. But she's a little shit. Later on, Sister Blanche Hudson grows into her looks and takes the silver screen by storm and is well admired and long remembered, even after Jane sabotages her and her career by trying to kill her with her car. Moving forward to the present, in the book and the movie. In the movie, Blanche is living in seclusion and under Jane's care, but at the start seems okay. In the book, Blanche's existence is bleak and miserable. And going forward, what causes everything to escalate in both the book and the movie is Blanche wanting to sell their house because keeping it is not sustainable. The book reads with the various points of view of most everyone involved, which includes their inner monologues. There's very little dialogue beyond sporadic exchanges, which gives the book an even bleaker setup here. The movie is very rich with dialogue that's kind of an appropriate translation of the inner thoughts of each character from the book, and the dialogue that makes Blanche so much more sympathetic and Jane a truly memorable villain. Alright, now going back to Blanche. In the movie, we see her smiling and watching one of her old movies, suggesting that things weren't so horrible until after the conversation about needing to sell the house. In the book, her circumstances are the most bleak and depressing. She doesn't have the pet parakeet she has in the movie, and she's living like a prisoner of war in her room, and all her attempts to escape are the same from book to movie. One thing watered down from page to screen was the sickly and squalid state she was in when Jane had her bound and gagged in the bed to keep her from escaping and contacting anyone. Jane is spot on from book to movie. She keeps trying to cling to whatever cuteness she had in her heyday by wearing excessive makeup and dressing and styling her hair, just the same as when she was on stage. She's also just the same drunk, delusional, and cruel and crooked from book to movie. Her abuses of Blanche, though, were watered down from book to movie. In the book, the first act of tampering with Blanche's meal was giving her a salad with a mummified and partially decomped bird found in the yard right smack in the middle. And this is not to suggest that the killing of her pet parakeet and laying it out on the plate is less cruel, just that this one is more macabre and disgusting. The second act of food tampering was not feeding her a dead rat, but giving her a very nice looking meal, but sprinkling it with sand so she couldn't eat it. The housekeeper, whose name is Edna in the book and Elvira in the movie, is a spot on match from book to movie from start to finish. From her concerns for Blanche and disdain for Jane, to her discovering the open and discarded mail for Blanche, including the attorney letter about selling the house, and eventually her murder after discovering Blanche bound, gagged, and filthy, is the same. The curious neighbor, Mrs. Bates, is also the same, trying to get to meet Blanche, but being snubbed by Jane. The only thing that can be considered a difference is the addition of her daughter in the movie, as a means to create a speculative dialogue about what it was like to live next door to the Hudson sisters. Edwin, the piano player with delusions of grandeur, is very different from book to movie. The movie gives us a coddled mama's boy. In the book, Edwin hinges his entire future on his piano playing, to his own detriment and his mother's resentment. He's a ne'er-do-well doofus with the trappings of an incel. He has no spine and keeps his angry thoughts about his mother and his revulsion of Jane to himself. In fact, during the scene when Jane and Edwin meet, a lot of their internal thoughts in the book depict a mutual revulsion with a mutual dependence as they see each other as their only chance. Anyway, the day Edwin finds his spine in the book is after Jane stands him up. He goes he goes there to tell her off when he's alerted to Blanche knocking over a table, and he is the second person in the book to find Blanche in her squalid and sickly condition and go running to the police. Jane just tried to kill him with her car in the book and in the movie, and in the book and the movie, he survives and tells all. It is at this point in the book and the movie, this point in the book and the movie, that it starts to come together. Jane has taken Blanche to the beach, and she is sickly and in excruciating pain. And in the book, a couple living near the beach are reading about everything Edwin told the police about Jane in the news when they see Blanche's car parked half on their property and half in the street. They discover it belongs to Blanche and they report it to the police. This is how the law catches up with Jane. In the movie, Blanche is like, I forgot to mention this, but in the book and in the movie, Blanche is like half in and half out of consciousness and in terrible pain. She's dying. But it's not specified whether or not she does expire in either. Anyway, in the movie, Jane steals ice cream for herself and Blanche from a snack vendor at the beach. And then, for the last time, the book and the movie come together as the crowd gathers around Jane and Blanche with the police. Jane finally has all the attention back and she dances. And that is really all of whatever happened to baby Jane. And I thank you for tuning into this second act. And please leave me a comment and a like should you feel compelled. Consider subscribing if you haven't yet. And check out my sponsor in the description if you're feeling hungry and generous. And I'll see you back next book and movie.